Yes, so the sort of overall rationale for this study is that educational gradient in cohort fertility has become somewhat of an industry standard or a staple way of measuring SES disparities in fertility. And I think you could argue that individuals' education proxy human capital. It might proxy other things as well, but let's say that it does this. And let's also agree that childbearing is sort of a couple outcome. It's a couple decision in many cases. And then you could argue that both partners' education better proxy human capital than one partner's education. And then, so this is a bit of a, I should say that couples' educational composition is rarely estimated together with the cohort fertility. We rarely get cohort fertility measures of joint couples' education. And because it's conceptually tricky to do it. It's been a few, I've read two great studies on it. So, but there's still some way to go, I think. So one way it's tricky is because you could think about the cohort fertility rate as it's an index person summary in the denominator, while couples education is a couple measure. It doesn't fit at all. And if we have very many ways to inform ourselves about cohort fertility, and none of them sort of say anything about, or directly say, they're not meant to say, like what influence of birth in a particular educational composition to the total population cohort fertility. So this idea is the aim is like try to see if we can come up with a reasonable measure for that and so on. It's not it's 25% inventing the wheel, but a little bit new. I think this will be useful for comparing countries and cohorts on very crude sort of partnering fertility regimes. You know, like not going into the dynamics which the earlier presentation was about, the complexity between educational composition in terms of assortative mating and differential behavior by education and so on in fertility and partnering duration, blah, 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 but just look at some cohort fertility measures that we could compare countries with. We could want to say things like through which couples' educational compositions are populations reproduced in Finland or in Japan or Nigeria, in Brazil or in Brazil in the 30s, because compared to the 1970 cohort in Brazil and so on. That would be great. So that is, well, that's kind of also the research question. But so also another important, where we stand now is that we want to think about, like, is such a measure feasible and meaningful? Can we do it, you know, at this stage? So we're starting with registered data in Finland, where we just look at recent completed fertility birth cohorts. And we decompose cohort fertility rate by educational composition of births, so the index woman and the index woman's partners across the life course and the birth there, so that occur there. Real quickly, skipping the results, I guess, and moving to the conclusions. Among recent cohorts who completed their childbearing in Finland, within what educational composition do births occur? So 30% of cohort fertility rates are due to birth where both are due to births within couples that where both are highly educated, meaning university educated, and 60% of cohort fertility rate are due to births where at least one partner has tertiary education. 50% of cohort fertility are due to births in educational homogamous couples, and 30% in hypogamous couples. And a minority of births, cohort fertility, are due to births that take place in a couple where man has higher education. So it's important to note that this is a function of the distribution of education among men and women, but it's also important to note that this is way more than you would expect for some random educational pairing. And I want to maybe assess this through some more clever way of quanting that skew, you know. And the second conclusion. Is it meaningful? Yes. Is it feasible? I don't think it might be problematic to, if we can't make this measure for other countries or other periods, then it's useless, right? So, and I think I compared it, where I'm going. So we might have problems with data to do this in other countries than Finland, but let's do it for every country we can. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Linus.